the story just the story just keeps on going from there. Where as you grow, you get new problems.
Hmm.
As you expand, as you get multiple offices, you get just different things that come up. And again, you're not trained for those things, so you get really good at being a solo chiropractor and with one staff member. But then by the time you get four, five, six staff, if you're not trained and you don't know what you're doing, it can fall apart really quickly. And I've gone through that. I've gone like, man, top of the world to boom, humbled and down to the basement.
Yeah, I've been there with you through some of those conversations of how things are going great and it's a roller coaster. And the great thing is that I think that as you grow, we talk about this a lot in our mastermind groups. Like you tend to cope, and the people who get through that coping are those who have the skill set and how to organize. And I think that's what a lot of the courses do is they help you organize your thoughts, organize your action, and channel the water, so to speak, right, and where you
Mhm.
want it to go. And you've done a great job at that. And one of the things that I think that in our evolution and in our growth as a practice is if you take all the courses but yet you don't train up your staff properly, you're going to have problems. Like they have to learn what you do. And one of the things that I've seen that successful uh, owners and practices that join the business academy, what they do is they end up getting their top tiered staff trained. And you have an office manager, Chelsea, who's been with you for a while. She went through the entire training with you. How critical has that been to have your team fully trained and aligned with what you're doing?
Yeah, I think that's a good point you brought up, Gary. Is It's super vital. I'm in my home office right now. Chelsea, my office manager, is kind of running things at the clinic right now, but she's fully trained. Like we can speak the same language. We know how to handle different situations, how to handle other staff members, how to just handle everything. And the biggest thing is just she can run the team. She knows what the case manager is supposed to be doing. She knows what front desk is supposed to be doing. She knows those metrics that we're looking for. And you know, we can say, I don't know if there's anyone on here that's done any of the training, but we can be like, hey, front desk is an emergency. She's like on it. Hey, we got Kelly. She's just starting with our bit. This is real. Kelly just started with in our billing department 2 weeks ago. Hey, she's in non-existence. She doesn't have any idea what she's doing. Let's get her started with the hat pack. We call it a hat pack. It's just essentially like the training for that position.
Mhm.
It's all detailed. We literally can hand somebody a paper binder and a digital binder, and they can go through all the video training that we've developed over the years, and they can essentially onboard themselves with little to no questions. And man, when you're busy and you have multiple clinics and multiple different types of practices, having that organization in place, man, it's literally I hit the easy button, and then again, is it easy? No, there's still a lot of issues. We all run into that. If we're paying somebody, right now, inflation, $20 an hour, you're going to have some turnover. I mean, that's just the reality of the world that we live in. But if you can get your team to see the vision and see some of the goals that you have, man, your team's going to go from one, two, three people to, you know, in our Mesa Clinic right now, I think we have 14 staff members. Too
Mhm.
many right now, but it feels like,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, well, you're making it go right, and that's I'm really excited for you, and I look forward to having a conversation here in a little bit about just selling half of your practice, which is pretty cool. But before I go there, just let everyone who's on here know that we have an amazing event coming up at the end of April here, just in a couple weeks away. It's called Elevate Con. It's to the 24th through 26th. Is something you do not want to miss. If you're interested in checking out who the Business Academy is, we have associate doctor training. If you're medically integrated, we have medical training. We have case manager training. We have some special guest speakers coming in from all over the country that will knock your socks off. We have a doctor who does over $1 million a month that is a client that will be speaking there. I mean, there's so many gems that are going to be there. So and also, as I'm going through here, some of you may have questions for Dr. Taylor. Go into the chat box and just start putting your questions there on the side. And I promise I'll get to those. I'll leave the last 15 minutes available for anyone who has questions for Dr. Taylor. And lastly, for those of you who are guests who are not members of the Business Academy, if you'd like to get access to Quentin, who is a master at implementation, a 2 hour strategy call with him. It's actually two separate calls where you can get a strategic two meetings with him to actually go over, hey, what's your next steps and what can you do to start to scale your practice or to solve maybe a problem that you're running into. It's absolutely free for being here today. So make sure you reach out to the Business Academy. The contact information will be in the chat box. So, Dr. Taylor, coming back to you, maybe can what did you find the most challenging about implementing new systems in your practice? Like, and how did you overcome those challenges? Like, as you were implementing something new, what were some things that you came up against that you had to overcome?
Man, it's just a lot of it. I feel like is pride. Like I hadn't been in practice very long, but you feel like, man, I got this. I know what I'm doing. I got my roller table. I got my stem. I'm a great adjuster. I love patients. Why do I need to change? So that's kind of the first step for me was just saying, okay, if I'm doing 32 patients a week, this is not working. I need to you know, put my pride on the shelf and be willing to learn and to grow. So that was kind of step one for me. And then the second step was, man, it's just a lot. When you're first starting out, it's, I would say most chiropractors, we probably have, ourselves and two or three staff, and there's nothing wrong with that I feel like. But if you don't want to be the adjusting doc for the rest of your career, or you know, if you want to be able to do different things and be able to grow and expand, then I think you have to be willing to like learn from other people. And I feel like the Business Academy gave me the tools, kind of the framework to do that. And I've gone in so many different directions. I haven't done like the quote unquote normal chiropractic career path.
That's for sure. I think you've had a surgical center in there at a time. Do you still have your surgical center?
I've had up to two of them, and I've sold both of them. Um, I've had an urgent care next door. I started urgent care. We had a primary care for a while, um, and it's been great just because you get to learn and to grow and to jump into different fields, and you're rubbing shoulders with different types of providers. And for me, um, it's been like, for example, my Tempe clinic down in Tempe, Arizona, had an opportunity to purchase a clinic, pulled the trigger, purchased it. But then because of some of the systems in place, I saw, man, they had a large hormone replacement therapy part of the practice. And I was like, well, that's the part that I really want. And so I was able to kind of capture that, turn it into a remote program where the patients just had to come in, every couple of months instead of weekly. And then was able to sell that clinic. And so got kind of the portion that I really wanted out of that clinic, was able to sell it. And so being able to also look at like the statistics of things, being able to look at your numbers and not be prideful, and be like, hey, this is working really, really well. This part of the clinic is working really, really badly. What do I need to do? Do I need to put marketing here, or do I need to put the marketing here? Because my margins are really good here. I'll always be a chiropractor. I love being a chiropractor. I think it's like one of the best professions out there. We get to help people so much. And so I feel like, but sometimes in the world that we live in, you either got to go self-pay, because the insurance world is just not there anymore. Like if you put your name on your door and say, I'm going to take every health insurance, I'm going to just take your copay and deductible, and I don't know that you can do it, but it's going to be really hard.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on this a little bit. Like, I didn't realize this when I joined the Business Academy myself, but you're kind of hitting on it. I've talked to a lot of people over the years, especially people who have like MBAs. And I've talked to people before who go through the Business Academy and they come out going like, this what I learned at the Business Academy was better than in my MBA. And you're sitting here talking about multiple different companies. And to me, I know for me, I've been able to do a lot of different types of companies, but it was because of what I learned from the Business Academy and learning how to be a business and not just a provider. Because I think a lot of us come out of school, hey, we know how to be a clinician, we know how to take care of patients, we have an idea and a dream of taking care of patients, but we don't have any business sense at all. And so what you just described is the fact that you dabble in so many different things is amazing. You get to play the games that you want to play. But this goes into my next question for you is like, how did systematizing your practice change your daily operation and stress levels as an owner? Because you're not treating patients hands-on anymore, are you?
No, like my chiropractor was out of town. He was hiking the Grand Canyon last week, so I covered for 2 days because the doc that we used it for coverage couldn't do 2 of the 4 days. But yeah, the system's in place. Like we have a system for everything. Like we have team meeting at 7:45. Now I don't attend those morning huddles anymore. Like we call them our team meetings where we go over the patients of the day. We have a weekly meeting every Monday. We have morning huddles with the front desk, case management, production manager. Production manager is going to each part of the production lines and just making sure that we're hitting the targets that we need to. And again, it's always patient first. Is it good for the patient? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, great. Well, then we move forward. If you're trying to help people, there's nothing wrong with helping them and being compensated to do so. So that was another big thing for me. I would just give everything away. I'd just be like, oh, you can't afford it? Oh, I'm sorry. Here, I'll just do it for free. And then they go hop in their brand new 2025 GMC Denali. And I had if you go back to 2013, before I started with TBA, I hop in my 84 Honda Accord and they're in a 2011 Lexus and they say they can't afford my service. And I'm like, well, I can't afford to give it to you. So but that was something hard for me because I just want to help people, man. I'll do whatever I could to help somebody.
That's so funny that you say that. I had an 85 Honda Accord.
It's a good car.
I drove that thing until I could see it rusted through the floorboards, and so I could see the road, underneath me as I'm driving. I felt like I was Fred Flintstoning it. Um, but to your point, yeah, a lot of times we have a hard time asking for money from patients, and
Yeah.
I think that's something that the Business Academy helps with in their sales training is that, hey, we're worth it, right? We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on our education. We deserve to have abundance. And I know that most people who are in chiropractic are they give. They love people, they give. And so to me, it's an ethical duty obligation to actually like be successful so that you can live in the zip code you want to live in, send your kids to the school you want to, or maybe homeschooling, or just giving to your church, giving to your community. I mean, those are all things that open up for us when we become more successful. And so that's our purpose at the Business Academy is to create capable CEOs so that you guys can take over healthcare in your communities, and like Dr. Taylor is doing. Um, I want to jump to some growth and some success milestones with you, Doc. At what point did you realize that your practice was truly thriving? What were the key indicators for you?
Wow, that's a loaded question, isn't it? Let's
It
see.
is.
I think just that the systems are working. I mean, we're all entrepreneurs. We're all chiropractors or in the medical field. Probably 99% are chiropractors in this call, but we love our patients, we love our staff, we love our team, we love our family, and we just want to do the best by it. But I felt truly like things were going right when I could take a step back and just start looking at the business as a business and not, oh, did little Scott get his special Graston with his leg pull, whatever it was, right? Not that those things aren't important; they're so important. But I was able to kind of look at the business as a business, and then to just continue to come in and inspire and help our team members continue to do what they're doing, kind of take on that role for me. And I got the focus on the business and making it successful, and then really pushing just continued good work and then they see the opportunities and they're like, wow, this is great. We've been blessed to we've had some turnover with our front office. We've gone through, I think, 2 or 3 in the last like 3 years. But other than that, all the same chiros, same same mid-level, same MD oversight, same rehab team, and so it's become truly like a family.
Mhm.
Um, but it takes a lot of work to get there.
It does, right? I mean, but obviously you're doing a lot right now. Let me turn to patient care for a second. How did patient care improve or change as your practice became more organized and efficient? Because I don't know about you, but like when I was treating patients, I felt like there was no one better than me. And I think that's the right mindset to have as a provider, right? All of you on here should think there's no one better than me. But like as you replaced yourself and as you put these systems in, how did patient care improve in your office?
Yeah, we all think we're the best, and I think, like Gary, like what you said, I think that's fine to think that. Um, but then, the reality is, when you're seeing 50, 60, 70 patients a day, like, yeah, it's easy to get like crud. I don't remember who that patient was. Um, Not that you're going to hurt them or anything like that, but sometimes it's easy to get stuck in that. And so by implementing systems with a lot of people call them travel cards or your practice management software, therapy protocols in the office where all your rehab team members, they're fully trained. And you can say, I want this, 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 and this. And they're going to be better because they can sit with them for 25, 35, 45 minutes to an hour working with that patient, essentially doing what I would do if I was there. And they are just as good as me. um, then I'm able to help more people, and they're actually able to get better care than me quickly, pulling out a Graston tool and scraping the trapezius really quickly and say, all right, good, put some ice on that, and then we'll do it again tomorrow. Okay, bye. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, but how consistent am I going to be able to be with that type of service? Where
Hmm.
we can say, hey, this patient needs Graston, or they need trigger points, or they need dry needling. Okay, we're going to do it 2 times a week for 6 weeks for this type of
Hmm.
service. Um,
Hmm.
and that's one of the things I like about the Business Academy. They're never like, you guys have never been like, hey, you have to do it like this. You have to practice like this. It's like, no, practice how you want to practice, but here's some
Hmm.
systems to build your practice.
Yeah, no, I love that as well. Yeah, thinking back, no one ever told me what care plans to do, how many
Nope.
visits to treat a patient. It was all about how do you systematize your practice? How do you effectively communicate with someone to where they're reaching out and wanting your services? And it really helped me move away from an insurance-based practice to cash. And really, I did both, right? I was
Yeah.
doing insurance, but I was also had no problem collecting $10,000, $20,000 from a patient on a care plan. And the Business Academy helped me with that tremendously. And in today's world, I feel like you're either all cash or you need to really learn how to communicate with patients who have insurance that, hey, not insurance isn't going to cover 100% here. You're going to have to, pay for some of this out of your pocket and how to effectively communicate that message. And I think the guys and gals who I know are in practice who do that have far more, success in helping more people. So you mentioned something earlier, Dr. Taylor, about just the culture that you've created. And I've come to realize that many times it's the who, not the how. Like you have gotten a knack to hiring people who stick, and who are they're the right players, right? And obviously your leadership, style played in creating that culture. So what role did the TBA help you with that in creating, in you becoming a better leader, in you finding the right hiring? Like Chelsea's been with you forever, your providers have been with you forever. And that's a skill set that you can learn. And I know that there are people on here who may struggle with hiring right now. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Ooh, that's another big question. Yeah. I mean, hiring right now, it kind of sucks. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. You get a 18-year-old gal out of high school and then maybe a year of college under them, and they want to make $25 an hour. And reality is for most practices, unless that person is amazing, it's not going to work. Um, but for the right person, it might work. You know what I mean? And so I think the biggest thing for us is just, you know, we we try to hire from within. Old patients. We put it on our socials. We do the Indeed ads, and Indeed's changed a lot. Not the biggest fan of Indeed right now, but used to be so simple. Now they've made it so costly. But whatever way you go and look for new staff, I mean, great. But I mean, I think the biggest thing is helping them to see the vision, making sure you have a plan in place for each staff member. Here's your training, and not just here. This is how you answer the phone. This is how you do the email and fax and whatever. But hey, this is your entire job, And if it's within this scope, like, okay, it's you. This is your job. Like front office, like we have a new front office and she's crushing it. We track outbound phone calls. She made 214 outbound phone calls last week, like the highest any ever front office person we've ever had. So she's all over top of our leads, through Go High Level. She's calling all the leads multiple times a day, text, email, phone call, voicemail. She's all over it. But she was trained to do it, and she's incentivized with her valuable final product, or her main goal for her is total patient visits. And so she sees that and she's like, man, I can make like an extra $150 a week by just keeping people on their care and getting the new patients to show up. Yep. And what's an extra $200 a week as a practice if they're keeping your, 250, 275, 300 patient visits a week, and you're getting 15 to 20 new patients in a week? Like, you don't really care. At least, as a business owner, like I want my front office to be incentivized and I want them to be successful with us. So I think that's the other thing that the Business Academy has really built and helped me develop is gamifying work. We're always setting goals and we're always having little challenges. And instead of like, oh, Dr. Taylor just wants to make more money, it's, well, yeah, we all do. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's also about helping people.
Yeah, well said. I love that. Hey guys, how's this going so far? Give me a thumbs up. For those of you who have your camera on, it's going good for you guys. Thumbs up. Dr. Judd, thanks for joining us. Dr. Calvin, it's great to see you. Thanks for having your camera on, my friend. It's been a while. Look forward to catching up with you. Michael, Dick, thank you for your camera on. Marcus, thank you. Hey, just as a quick reminder, before we go into our next segment here, we got Elevate Con, April 24th to 26th. And we also have, for all of you on here, you can schedule a free practice analysis. It's really strategic time with Quentin, who's helped thousands of offices. This is absolutely free, but he can help you. Hey, what are your next steps for growth? Or maybe he can help you with a problem that you're running into right now. And sometimes it's good to have someone who's on the outside looking in instead of being on the inside and trying to figure things out, being on an island. So in any case, take advantage of that. If you go to your the chat box, you'll see some links that you can schedule for that. So, Dr. Taylor, let's move on to selling half of your practice. Congratulations. I know that just happened here recently. What motivated you to sell half of your practice?
I wasn't really like trying to, excuse me. I wasn't really trying to like put my practice up for sale or anything like that. It just kind of happened where, I'm always out there mingling with other doctors, other providers, associations, things like that. And I just sold my urgent care next door because we started the urgent care with the thought of, man, we could probably get a lot of personal injury patients. And we already had a medical doctor and the suite came open next door. And I'm like, man, an urgent care would be an awesome spot right here. So we got the lease on the building and started an urgent care, learned how to do that, and had it for about 3.5 years. And, we didn't make a ton of money on it, but it did flow a lot of personal injury patients to and then just other injury patients. And so it worked out really well. And then a friend of mine, an internal medicine doc in our complex, said, hey, we should team up with the urgent care somehow. And I said, well, if you want to buy it, just let me know. And then I didn't hear anything from him for 7 months. And then one day he came and said, hey, I want to buy your urgent care. And I said, okay, let's talk. Sold him the urgent care. The great thing is we still get the referrals and I don't have to deal with all the urgent care's problems. Urgent care is a different world. It's hard for chiropractors because we want to help people, but unfortunately, the mantra for urgent care is treat them and treat them. Not what we like to do in the chiropractic world. But so yeah, and so that doctor knew another doctor, and I have experience. I've had 2 interventional pain management offices where, doing the pain interventions, so epidurals, nerve blocks, facet. But then this doc was really wanting to start an interventional pain center. He's one of the few guys in Arizona that will do like BMAC or take the stem cells out of the iliac crest and inject them actually into the spine or the facets. And that's just something I think is amazing. And I don't think it replaces what we do as chiropractic or physical therapy at all. But I think what it does is it helps us and it helps the patient. And so that was kind of the genesis of the conversation. And then this larger group came in that he worked with just this interweb of stories here, Gary. Sorry for everyone going
You're
through
good.
it. But long story short, sat down and had some lunch one day and said, hey, let's make this work. And I was just going to consult with them. And they said, well, hey, we want you too. And I said, well, I'm not really wanting to sell my whole practice. It's just not, because it's finally going well, right? Like it's 15 years and it's working really well. And I love it and I don't want to get away from it. And so then they kind of made a really, really good offer that I couldn't turn down. So I'll be going and helping them start a multiple interventional pain centers will be what I'll be doing with them while still maintaining ownership in my clinic and running that and expanding and growing that. So that's a long story. Sorry, everybody.
That's awesome. I mean,
but that's just kind of how it happened. It wasn't like I put my practice on Practice Sellers or whatever it's called and said, somebody buy me. It just happened.
Yeah. I think that what impresses me about you, Dr. Taylor, is that you just you make, I think, quick decisions, right? You decide to do something and then you're not, I mean, obviously you probably have some fear in doing it, but you just do it and you learn what you need to learn, and it's set you up for opportunity, right? These opportunities are landing in your lap, so to speak. And I've always told people, like, learn to listen for opportunity knocks very softly, and you've set yourself up to have these different opportunities. So it's fantastic. How many of you guys on here would love to have someone approach you and want to give you a good price for your practice, right? I mean, I think all of us, would love to have that knock on the door. So, on that note, like, how did having well-established systems influence the value of your practice when negotiating the sale?
Man, I think it's vital. I mean, we went through months of attorneys involved, due diligence. So when these attorneys are looking at my practice, they're really looking at our systems, how we do things, are we compliant? They literally, I joke, it's like, man, they were going to get hair samples from me, do a prostate exam on me. It felt like at some point, just because attorneys are involved and they're there to protect their interests. And they're a $14 million company. I'm a 2.5. So they got a lot more at risk than I did in doing this deal. And so it's one of those things that's having those systems in place. Their attorneys literally looked at my hat packs. They looked at my training. They looked at how we do our marketing. They looked at the website. They looked at everything that we do. But the biggest thing that I would say was that really helped push this through was just the systems that we had and the things that we had set up within our office for recurring revenue. Because when we were talking back and forth, we're like, if you change nothing, you're going to make this much money. You could turn off all the new patients, stop all this. If you just kept what we have, you will be guaranteed to make this amount of money. And so I would just encourage everybody to look for opportunities for recurring revenue. So a big part of our practice is medical weight loss and hormone replacement therapy. There's tons of different ways to do that. If you're not medically integrated, that's fine. You can still do weight loss plans, nutrition, supplements, exercise, but we also have a wellness club that we've developed over the years. And we have a lot of people that are paying us $49 a month. They just walk in, get a wellness visit. And it's like, for us, it's marketing. They come in every month telling their friends and family. And so, but having those recurring revenue streams made the purchase of us, so, or at least the merger, half of the clinic, way more palatable to them, because they're like, wow, I'm guaranteed at least this. Yep.
Awesome. In looking back, is there anything you'd have done differently leading up to selling half of your practice?
I would have focused more on additional services, even more than I have. Because the reality is the medical, I'm a chiropractor. I always have to say that, but some of these medical services, they reimburse better. Patients are willing to pay more for them, and it just drives your chiropractic. So I have a physical therapist as well. So we have chiro, PT, we have medical, we have a mid-level PA, massage, decompression, all that. But the patients can see that, so they'll come in for something. So when we market for medical weight loss, they come in for that. and then they see all the other things that we're doing, and we're able to cross promote. And it's a really, again, I don't recommend saying, hey, I'm going to go do all that this week. Definitely don't do that, or you'll go bankrupt. Um, but look to add some additional services that you feel you can be successful at.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, I know we have people who are integrated on here that you have medical services, but I know we have chiropractors who are on here who do straight chiropractic, which is great. At the Business Academy, it doesn't matter what kind of practice you have. We train on systems, whether it's in getting new patients, it's helping you with your conversions, helping you with your hiring, helping you with front desk. I mean, we have systems basically for every part of your organization where we teach you how to create your own systems. But we also help with integration. So if there is someone on here who's like, hey, I really want to look at actually integrating, and adding medical services, you just want to reach out. That's when Quentin on the practice analysis, you can ask him that question. Hey, how do you go about, he can help you with that as well. So I want to turn to some advice that you might. So like what advice would you give to hesitant to invest in training and implementing new system?
Gary, you're cutting out a little bit for me. I don't know if it's me or on your end or not. Quentin, do you know if it's me or is it Gary?
It's on Gary's end. If
Oh,
you're hearing
okay.
it as well, yeah.
Well, the question that I think that he asked is, if somebody had any issues or concerns about, investing in training or anything like that, I would just say, man, how long do you plan on doing this? Now, if you were going to retire next year, okay, well, maybe you don't invest in yourself. But the reality is, even if you're going to retire, I plan on that's in my 10-year goals is just to have my practices run themselves, and I don't have to be there daily to do that. But for me, I go back to that 2013, 2014. I literally had no money. I was broke. I wasn't even paying. I didn't even pay off my student loans yet. I wasn't even making payments. I was doing the income-based repayment. And I was just like, I got to do something. And I'd gotten that credit card thing in the mail, and I was like, all right, Business Academy, let's roll. And I think I literally made back everything I spent in like a week and a half. And then every additional training, like the Business Academy will tell you, I'm the worst at like traveling. I hate traveling. I don't like to travel. And so they've implemented some remote traveling, and it's so awesome for my team. It's one thing I didn't talk about, Gary, was my front desk. They can go through the front desk training with the TBA, and it's amazing because I can put them in a room. We actually call it the closet. It's kind of like your background, Gary. It's got the foam stuff on the wall, and but it's way smaller. And we put them in there, and then sorry, I can't remember. Is it Cindy? I forgot her name. I'm so sorry.
Cindy, yeah, Cindy.
Is it Cindy? Okay.
Well,
the trainer,
Mindy is in Mindy.
Mindy, sorry, not Cindy's great too, but Mindy. So she gets on with them and works them through it remotely, and it's just awesome because then you know that they have a basic understanding of what you're wanting, and it's just great. And so I just would tell anybody if you're thinking about it, I don't know how much anything costs anymore. I've already done everything, so I would just say pull the trigger, give it a try. Even if you implement half of it, you're still going to see the return on your investment. And so that's just what I would say. I have a lot of docs that call me and ask me what to do, how I should do things. I'm like, you need systems, man. You can't do everything yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I lost internet there for a second, but I concur 100%. Anytime I've invested money into my own personal training with the Business Academy, I made my money back quickly. And I'd say one of my biggest regrets was not getting through the program as quickly as I should have. Sometimes life happens and I would drag my feet a little bit. And since I was a member, they got the remote, training that can be done. We actually come to Arizona every once in a while because, if you're not going to come to us, we're going to come to you, Dr. Taylor.
I know.
So it's that was great. Thank you. What do you feel are the most important steps a practitioner should take to just achieve similar success? I think you kind of hit it already a little bit, but I think that, man, for me, I can't stress that you have to invest in yourself, and but what would you say would be your advice on that?
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, for me, before I joined the business academy, my biggest issue was like, uh, like if you were the patient, Gary, I'd be like, yeah, you should probably do this, but it's gonna be $1,000, and then like hide. Um, Now I can be like, hey, this is the recommendation. We're gonna recommend some PRP on that right shoulder, Gary. We gotta get you an LSO brace. We're gonna do some spinal decompression therapy. Um, you've been like this for 20 years. It's gonna take some time. We're also gonna recommend a massage therapy session once a month or once a week. We're gonna do this for 8 weeks, and then we'll reassess you along the way. Um, like having I don't know what the word is, this the confidence, the courage, and just the ability to be like I don't even care anymore if they don't see the value in it. One, I've messed up, or our team has messed up, I should say. Our providers haven't explained to them the importance, and then it's okay if some people leave and don't want your services. If they want to just get their back cracked at the joint for $29 or whatever it is right now. Um, so yeah, that's what I would say to be the biggest advice. And get through your training. Don't
Yeah.
don't like take a day off. It's worth it. Um, get it done. I remember driving to California when you guys used to be out in Southern California. I drove there and I was broke, so I slept with my brother and sister or where did they live? Anaheim. They lived in Anaheim. I slept in their garage for like a week, and I got the report of findings course down. And then the following week, I had the best week I've ever had in practice.
That's
And then
awesome.
it just kept going like that. But I literally slept in a one car like condo garage, and their kids had their toys in there. And every morning at like 5 a.m., these kids would come jump on me on this horrible air mattress. It was bad, but I learned so much. But I
Yeah,
remember it like it was yesterday.
that's so awesome. That's so awesome. Because I think people can relate to that. I mean, who on here hasn't had their own trials and tribulations at some point in time, right? And so I love the fact that you kind of stuck it out, man. We appreciate your trust and everything that you put into it, and you're reaping the rewards right now, which I love. Hey, let's look forward real quickly. Now that you've successfully sold part of your practice, what are your future goals personally and professionally?
Well, that's a great question. That's a question that we ask to all of our staff too. We're okay with talking about money with our team members. So what you just asked me is we ask that and we talk about that with our team, because my office manager just bought a house, and buying a house right now in Arizona is insane. Interest rates are really high and the cost of living is super high. But she's been with me 7 years, and we've been trying to build a plan to help her get a house. And so she got that house just like 3 weeks ago.
So awesome.
So huge success, and it was a big win. And we went over there and some of the team members, and I attempted to put a doggy door in her house for her. Bad mistake. Had to call the contractor over to fix it. But just getting those wins with your team and seeing them grow too, personally, professionally, and financially is amazing. But so for me, my next 5 years is, I want to have the interventional pain center here in Mesa open. The goal is to have that by August, and then have 3 to 5 additional practices in the Phoenix Metro Valley. And then the group that I'm joining with, they already have a clinic in Utah. And so it's going to do the same thing there, is to start an interventional pain center there, with at least another additional practice there to support it. So that's my 5-year goal. It's going to be busy, but I'm excited for the new adventure and to continue to grow and help people.
That's so fantastic. And you know what? What you started off with, just helping a staff member fulfill a dream of owning a home, just tells me how vested you are in your staff and the leadership you provide and the culture that you've created. If that doesn't tell you guys a couple things about Dr. Taylor, I don't know what will, because um, I don't know how many practice owners out there actually do that for their team or have those types of conversations. And that's something we talk about in our hiring course. I believe Ethan is on here now, and I know Ethan, you spent a lot of time creating that hiring course. The Business Academy teaches, and that's where we get into personal, professional, financial goals and having those conversations with staff. And again, you hire the right who, but then you can really train them up and you help them achieve their goals, man, they're going to help you achieve your goals. And I mean, this is fantastic what you just said there about how you helped that staff member really attain that goal. So well done. That's so fantastic. Um, wow. So hey, listen, guys, I promised to end off here a little early and open it up for questions. You can use the chat box as you guys are thinking of questions you may have for Dr. Taylor and what he did to expand his practices. I want to remind you guys that you can get on the practice analysis, which I can guarantee you, Dr. Taylor started his journey with a practice analysis call. It was a phone call where it was just going over what was currently going on and creating a battle plan and creating, a step-by-step process, because everyone's different here. Some of us have different types of problems. Some of us have new patient problems. Some of us have conversion problems. Some of us don't know how to hire. We don't have good front desk systems, et cetera, et cetera. So everyone's different. So when someone joins the Business Academy, it's not good. It's not a cookie cutter program. So in any case, schedule your free practice analysis. And then also we got Elevate Con coming up April 24th, 5th, and 6th. It's not too late to get your tickets now. You want to definitely click on that link as well to get your tickets. There's going to be so much great information at that. It's the best conference you're going to go to this year. So,
Hey, Gary, your sound and your connection are going bad again. But while you fix that, definitely what we want to do is get you to Elevate Con, get you to what that looks like. But then at this point, let's go ahead and open up for questions. Any questions there for Dr. Taylor? And you can unmute yourself or you can throw them in the chat. And we'd love to just kind of go through that here for 5-10 minutes. Go ahead, Calvin.
Thanks, guys. Hi, Dr. Taylor.
Hi, Calvin.
Hey, so I got originally set up as a medical clinic. I think Quentin signed me up with AMI like 5 years ago.
Okay.
But anyway, for me, I've got a pretty big PI clinic in Utah, Salt Lake City, for 24 years here.
Nice.
And I usually have 1 to 2 chiropractors. I just lost a couple chiropractors, so I'm back in the groove of adjusting, and which I kind of don't like. I don't want to be the grinder. And for 10 years, I've had chiropractors hired, but my medical, my PI dwarfs my medical. But my medical, I think we got up to 400 or 500,000 a year, and the expenses were 400 to 500,000 a year. So it was really kind of a losing battle. With COVID, before COVID, I mean, losing a nurse practitioner, I had a naturopathic medical doctor, and I just feel like the medical never really progressed. And my question to you is, everybody, when I was at the round table with AMI 5 years ago, 4 years ago, it's like, it had some of the top earners. I don't know if I know Gary's familiar with this. Quentin is. The round table, big earners were at the San Diego meeting with AMI. And it seemed like at the round table, every owner had husband and wife, owner, or partner. And I've been doing this like the Lone Ranger for 24 years. And I just feel like I can't do it. I even signed up with Quentin 2 years ago for, I don't know, a $12,000 package with you guys. And Brenna, I think you kind of helped me coach, or there was some other coach that I forgot her name, Nicole. I didn't even do the training. I didn't even do the coaching. So I got $12,000 floating out there somewhere with the Business Academy that I could probably tap into. I don't know if you guys would allow me to do that, but I can't keep up. I can't keep up. I think if I had I don't know, my wife's always been a stay-at-home mom. Now she's kind of playing around with my business a little bit, and the kids are gone out of high school. But I don't know. Did you have a partner? That's my question.
Great. That's a great question. So I'm married. My wife is very hands off. Kind of sounds like your wife. We have 4 kids. My youngest is 9. And so, I mean, definitely I look to my wife as somebody I can counsel with, but she's not trained in the systems. We've talked about it many times, but she comes from a civil engineering background. She's a civil engineer, hasn't practiced in that field for years. And I'm this chiropractic entrepreneur, let's go type of personality. And she wants to think it out and make spreadsheets and go over pros and cons and things like that. And so I've actually never had a partner other than in other businesses. So in my phys med, my chiro, PT, massage, all that, like that's always just been me until 15 days ago. But my urgent care, I had a minority partner in there, an MD. In my clinic in Tempe, it was just me. And in my other 2 interventional pain centers, I had an MD partner. And so, I mean, I have had partners, but in my sole practice, chiro PT world, phys med world, I haven't. Um, you're right, though. 5 years ago, the conversation about medical integration was way different than it is now. I did AMI as well years ago, and part of me having an urgent care next door is, guess what? There's a hallway, so that urgent care doctor would see 15 to 20 urgent care patients, walk over, do some injections, trigger points, joint injections, PRP, new patient exams, and walk right back over. As that's gone away, I have a great PA, Daisy is her name. She's amazing, and she's part-time. She's 3 days a week, and she loves it. But she's also doing hormone therapy, weight loss. She's doing all these additional services that just those services pay for her. And anything she does on the phys med side is just like icing on the cake.
Can you guys hear me now? Thumbs up if you can hear me.
I can hear
All
you,
right,
Gary.
great. So a couple of things on that. I want to get back to what Calvin asked. One of the things is like he was asking, Calvin, correct me if I'm wrong, like, did you have someone helping like a partner? And Scott, you were like, nope, it's just me, my wife and I are different. And Scott, what did you do? Because what I heard Calvin say, and the good news, Calvin, is if you've paid money and you haven't used it, you haven't lost it. So I'm welcoming you back to the team. You guys just make that phone call and get back on the team. But one of the what I heard Dr. Scott say earlier is he scheduled time for his training, even though he had all this busy schedule. Can you speak to that, Dr. Taylor, on like how did you get the training in? Like especially with multiple practices and as you were growing, I mean, you scheduled time for it.
Yeah, I mean, as we grow and as we expand, like initially it was easy for me to go because I had nothing, broke, but as you're more successful and you're like 12 grand, whatever it is, I don't know what you did or whatever, but 12 grand isn't as big a deal anymore, right? Because you're like, man, if I step away for a day, I might lose 12 grand in business. So, but just setting aside time to go, just do it. I mean, that's what I would tell you. Like what you just expressed, you said you feel like it's not working and you can't get caught up. Gary mentioned something like being in cope. You're just getting through each day and you don't want to do that. Well, then let's make some changes, man. Let's get you back to, being the owner and not the operator in the practice. And so you obviously have done it. So it's just a matter of like, I'm going to Elevate Con. I hate traveling. I hate getting on planes. I'm a big dude. I'm like 6'4", 250 right now. And, I don't fit on airplanes very well. And so I just not a big traveling guy, but I'm going to go because I know it's going to be it's going to be good. So I don't know what your schedule is next week, but just be like, all right, move some patients over, call a doc to come cover for you, pay the guy an extra couple $100 and just start and then just do it. And once you get going, you'll start to see it and you'll be like, okay, this is what this Scott Taylor guy's talking about and what Gary's talking about and what Ethan's talking about. So it's just a matter of like, other than telling you just do it. Yeah, it's tough.
That's awesome. Good. Hey, so any other questions right now? I know there's a question, Quentin, you may know this. There's a question from David Lamson. How does licensure work with MD? Do they need to have ownership in practice or are they just an employee or IC? And that depends on the state you're in. Dr.
Yeah.
David, where are you located?
He's in Colorado, as far as I know, Gary.
Yes. Well, that's great. I can answer that question if you're in Colorado. at a couple practices in Colorado. You do not need an MD to own it. You can own it 100%. And it's just getting with the healthcare attorney and getting it, your legals put in. So yeah, you can own it outright.
Yeah, same thing in Arizona, Gary. I've had partners and MDs, DOs, PAs, NPs work for me, and in Arizona they just changed the law. You don't have to have any medical background to own a clinic in Arizona. A little scary, but
Oh, so lay people can own a medical clinic in Arizona now. Okay.
yep, anybody. Like you could come to Arizona, and I don't know your background, Quentin, but if just a business guy and you want to have a practice, you can do it.
Yeah. Great.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Well, and that's actually a great point, because it goes into something that a number of people have come to ask us is, there's a lot of people that went into integration. And as you say, Scott, integration has evolved like immensely in the last 10, 12 years. And it's gone more and more cash, and things have changed, and you used to get great reimbursements and all the rest of that. And what I keep seeing is that the clients that went through the business academy and went through that and learned organizational systems and how to do the organizational systems and how to run the practice and what to do with that have done so much better than those who said, hey, I'm a doc and my reimbursements are getting cut down as a chiro, and maybe I could go, bring on a medical person who can get reimbursed and charge more for services and bring those in, and then I can do that. That's hasn't been a successful operation that I've seen. Maybe you can speak to that a little bit there, Scott.
Yeah, we've had to shift gears quite a bit. My first nurse practitioner, United Healthcare stopped covering in Arizona, stopped covering myofascial trigger points. But this was like eight years ago, something like that. And so, but that was a big part of our business. And so we had to look at those stats and look at those numbers. He'd become a great friend of mine. We're still good friends, even though we had to move on from him because of his licensure. And then we said, okay, we're gonna hire an MD. Okay, we hired an MD, and we're like, man, now even the MD's getting hit with these recurring myofascial trigger point injections and the rehab. And we looked at the statistic, and we're like, man, billing the rehab, even having a medical doctor who's going to make $250K to sit there and do nothing. I shouldn't say that. A little bias there came out. Sorry, but he's going to sit there, and you're doing the rehab under him. The reimbursement rate's almost the same, and so if at all. And so then we had to move on from the MD, and so we settled on a mid-level physician assistant, and we added physical therapy because we have a lot of 55 plus or 65 plus in our community where PT does really well. And the PTs, we have a physical therapist and a physical therapy assistant now, where they can see Medicare patients and you get reimbursed. But then that just crosses into the other things that we do, like DME, spinal decompression, trigger points, joint injections. We used to do a lot of hyaluronic acid or into the knees. Medicare doesn't cover that. I mean, they'll cover it, but you're not going to make any money. And so we use PRP or we use amniotic allograft for stem cell.
Yeah. I want to touch on something that you said. So I want to backtrack just a little bit. Two things. One is that AMI was birthed out of the Business Academy, and the Business Academy has been always the stable company here, guys. I know hands down that people who had gone through the Business Academy and then went into integration did far better than those who just joined an integration company like AMI by itself. It's the systems. That's the common thing. It's the systems that you put into play that makes it successful. And the second point is, Dr. Taylor has mentioned this a couple of times. I liken it to how many of you guys remember John F. Kennedy Jr. and how he passed away? Remember, he was flying a plane and he nosedived into the ocean. And it's because, from what I've heard, I think this is true, but he wasn't instrument rated. And so he was flying and he got dark and cloud cover and he couldn't see the stars. He couldn't see the bottom. He didn't trust the instrument panel. He wasn't instrument rated. He crashed. One of the things that Dr. Taylor does is he's talked about statistics several times. And there's a course called Managing by Statistics. And so when you manage by statistics, it's like your instrument panel, and you're going to have to course adjust, and you're going to have to make changes along the way. That's why we call it a practice. To your point, Dr. Taylor, I've been a part of, hey, we used to get great reimbursement on something a few years ago, now you don't. And, you make adjustments along the way, but you can make them much easier when you can predict your future by looking at statistics on a continual basis. at how your operation is going. And so I think that's a testament to you in taking that course, but you know, you're always looking at statistics, which I think is one of the most important things you can do as an executive so that you can actually make informed decisions, and you're making logical decisions. You're not making emotional decisions. It's just logic. Like, hey, what's going on? You know, what's going on in these areas? And you make adjustments, and you do that very, very well.
I'll just add one thing to that, Gary, is that your team members will grow to appreciate that. When we do our huddles and we're going over their weekly statistics or battle plans that they have to make, they know that they might even get talked to if they're doing really good and their stats are up and everything's going well. It might be like, "How's Monday doing? High five. Let's have another killer week. Keep it up." And you walk away, and they know exactly what that means. You don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, that's so fantastic. Hey guys, we're at an hour already. This hour flew by fast. Dr. Taylor, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and being with us today. As a reminder, everyone who's on here, thank you for attending. Check out Elevate Con. It's in 2 weeks. You're going to get so much value. I mean, it's hardly nothing to come. And you just call Cindy at the Business Academy, sign up. You got the link there in the chat box. And then also make sure you schedule with Quentin. Everyone who's on here, Calvin, you know, I know you probably have a credit. Call Quentin and find out what you need to do and what's going on right now to get back on what you need to do to get where you want to go, right? But that strategic call, it will really help you guys. Even if you guys don't do anything, at least Quentin will help you and give you some direction on what your next moves are. You know, if we can help you, great. If we can't, we'll point you to a good direction. So take advantage of that. But again, Dr. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. This is Dr. Gary from the Business Academy signing off, and we will see you same time next week. We have different topics. And Brenna, would you like to add something, Brenna?
Yes, awesome. So I think we're going to have a couple people just get into chat box so that we can be able to talk to them, just a follow up right here so you can stay in. Quentin, did you have who's going to stay on?
Yeah, so Teresa, if you can put Mike Hatrack in a breakout with me, and then go ahead and put Dr. Casabona on a breakout with Brenna. And then also, like Gary said, for everybody else, we will reach out or go ahead and schedule an appointment. And we'd love to see you all at Elevate Con. And if you have any other questions for Dr. Scott, I'm sure he can make himself available, and we can also, text and so forth, and I get you his number, that we can kind of go through that as well.
Perfect. And Calvin, I'll reach out to you. I can help you figure out your program, and we can figure out something. Okay. We'll schedule a time today or something like that. We can figure it out. Awesome.
Great.